time, and which is interesting to the story in of itself, he just did not want the attention. He's a very quiet sort of guy. His story has never changed. I know there's a lot of people who don't
For being a reporter,
really believe
that's
it.
Weird, like he's just a quiet kind of guy who's a reporter.
Yeah.
I find that weird, actually.
I think he doesn't want the attention because he doesn't want the black-eyed kids to show up.
He doesn't want this attention. And
Wait, hold on a second. Did the black-eyed kids ever come back? Did they come back to his house?
No, he doesn't ever say that, no. So, the second edition of this book, the author David Weatherly is able to get an interview with Brian, and he has a few things to say afterwards that kind of were pretty interesting. Because initially I was like, all right, Bethel, I don't believe your bullshit. Like, you just made up a story and you just kind of ran with it, and now it's like a huge thing. But it turns out, like, he says, like, he didn't post this in this forum to get, infamous. He posted it to try and get answers because he was like freaking out.
Yeah, I don't think Black Eyed Kids is like the Slender Man, like a completely BS bullshit story with a weak ass monster. Like, this might be some truth to this.
Yeah.
And the monsters are actually creepy and cool, not like a thin, weak bitch, skinny white object. Sorry, I just Slender Man's on my shit list. He's such an unscary piece of shit. Fuck,
you know what,
Slender Man?
If you're listening, Slender Man, you can get fucked. Says Josh.
Anyways, I got a strong opinion.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah,
So,
you and
anyway.
your no biceps. That's right.
Yeah.
With
your stupid no face.
It's like a lazy monster. That's what it is to me. But
He's like, hey, do what I want because I'm standing here in a suit.
Yeah.
You want to go to the ball with me? No.
Stop touching me.
So anyway, basically that's what happened to Brian. There wasn't a whole lot more than that, and his story has never changed over the years. This happened back in 96, and he's never ever deviated from the story, which is interesting in and of itself. Again, he hasn't elaborated further on it apart from a couple of different things that happened afterwards, which we'll get into. But what happens, Josh, when these kids... So there's a ton of different stories online, and it's really hard to tell whether people are just making up creepypasta or these things really happened. This book is interesting because the author actually interviews people that happened to, so he actually gets that bit of evidence. It's not just reading it from Reddit. But what happens when these kids are invited inside, and the poor unsuspecting people who try to help these kids, what happens to them?
Well, I'm so happy you asked,
shit.
Mr. O'Connor, because that's exactly what I researched. So, Black Eyed Kids, this has been out there for a little bit, and thank you for setting it up. This is because I don't want to tell the basic stories. I tried to find more interesting stuff that wasn't out there, and I can't tell if it's creepypasta.
Yeah, Matt, because your shit sucks.
Your origin stories for losers.
Hey!
No, we need
Step
You
off!
freaking loser. You freaking loser.
So I went deeper. I asked two main questions. What happens when they get inside, and what are they? And I went deep on the internet and found anything I could. Tried to find credible stories, or at least a well-written story that may be real. So I want to share I want to answer the first question. The first question is, what happens when they get inside? So I found this story off a Reddit post to a YouTube page, to a link, to a comment, and I'll post it that I found. I had a couple of great Black Eyed Kids stories, and here's the one I found that I want to share first. Cue scary music in your mind as you listen. So this story... Done. It happened in mid-December 2014 in downtown Phoenix, Arizona, in an apartment. The only name this woman, it was definitely a woman, gave was HS. So I'm going to call her Hillary Swank because I just watched that Netflix series. I thought it was good.
Hot shit.
Hillary Swank. Okay.
Hillary is in her apartment, and she goes to bed early because she has to get up at 5 a.m. At 2 a.m., she hears knocking. At first, she's not scared. She's like, what the fuck? Why is someone knocking on the door at 2 a.m.? And she ignores it. And it just goes on for 5-10 minutes. She gets up, kind of annoyed, kind of scared.
Freaky, actually.
Just never ending and repetitive and the same kind of rhythm to it. Nothing changes. Really creepy. So she goes up to the door and she peeks out the window and she sees a very pale, young Hispanic woman. She didn't say kid. She said 18 to 22. So this to me would be an older black-eyed kid. It still seems kid range to me, but you could call it a woman too. Standing outside her door, just slowly knocking. She's about 5'8", has strange glasses on, very calm, immediately weird vibe. She cracks the door open a little bit and says, "Can I help you?" Because she felt bad. She has a sister and who's been in trouble in the middle of the night, or she had some story for a reason, being like, "Oh, it's just a woman out there by herself, and it seems like she's in trouble." Because the woman did say, like, "Please help me." So she opens the door and goes, "How can I help you?" And she's like, "Can I come inside?"
If I can just interject real quick here, that part of the whole story is super interesting to me. That they take the form of something needing help, right?
Like a
And so
child
immediately
or
when you
a
find
woman.
children,
Yeah.
you want to help, and that's a lot of the people who have these stories, I guess, that are inviting them in are like, I feel like terrified of these things, but also there's that part of me who wants to help. And there's that the continuing thing about like people who go missing in the forest as well, the missing 411 stuff. Sometimes people hear cries for help in the forest and they're being led into the forest, and that actually
it's very predatory
as well,
yeah,
too.
it's like a predatory behavior.
Right.
To lure you out there.
So anyway, just a little off the cuff note there.
That's true.
No, it's also just one of the characteristics of all these stories. It's the same thing. They try to guilt you into something, but you feel bad about it. But in your head, you're like, "What the hell? It's just a kid. Like, they need help. Like, what am I doing?" Like, that's why she wasn't threatened. She's like, "It's just a young woman out there. Like, why would I be scared of this?" So she opens the door, and the woman's like, "Can I use your phone?" At this point, she doesn't notice anything weird other than she's acting weird, and she's very pale. And she's like, "Oh."
She let her in.
So Hillary's like, "Okay, just I'll be right back. I'll get the phone." But Hillary never locked the door. Hillary walked to her bedroom to get her phone, and then heard her door open as she was in the bedroom, and she's like, "Oh no, I didn't shut it.
Damn it, Hillary!"
Oh shit!
Like, why would I do that? So she comes back around, and the woman's already in her living room, laying on the couch, just laying there. And Hillary is like, "Here's my phone," and she tosses it to her, and she's obviously terrified at this point. So while she's on the couch, she looks up at Hillary, and this is the first time where Hillary notices something. She takes off her glasses and looks at Hillary, and her eyes are jet black, like a black-eyed kid.
Oof.
But her teeth are also jet black. So she smiles, and it's just like jet black teeth, too. So it's double black. It's eyes and teeth. So Hillary obviously is like...
somebody had too much red wine. She
Yeah.
had too much red wine.
Well, it could be drug. I mean, like, it could be just drugs for the teeth. I don't know. I mean, it could be a cracked-out black-eyed kid. So...
A lot of meth. Okay, go ahead.
But at this point, she goes, go outside and make your calls. And this woman just says, "I can't leave. I can't leave." And she's like, oh my God. The woman, like, she backs up in the corner, and the woman makes 2 calls later, just makes 2 calls. After all this crazy tension in the room, this craziness is going on, it's clearly something paranormal, just makes 2 calls. Doesn't really say anything. And in the calls later, they found out they were to disconnected numbers. They weren't even real numbers. They were just random disconnected numbers, both of them. She just called them, and, like, just for no reason. So she goes, "Can I use your bathroom?" And Hillary's like, yeah, go to the bathroom, whatever you want to do. You just go to the bathroom. And Hillary goes to her room, gets her phone, calls 911. And from her room is yelling, "You got to go now, get out of here." And she keeps hearing, "I can't leave, I can't leave." Hillary goes and peers into the bathroom, and the door's open, and the woman's just staring in the mirror, giggling, scratching her face, just doing something horrible. And Hillary writes, like, "I'll never forget it. It's the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life." She wasn't really hurting herself, just like being crazy, saying "I can't leave" over and over again.
That sounds really crackhead, though.
Yeah.
It is.
It's really crazy.
But her eyes were jet black. So Hillary's like, "You got to get out of here, get out of here." She runs to her bathroom. He runs to her bedroom, shuts the door. And by the way, the first time she called the police, she couldn't get through. It was disconnected. She couldn't call anyone. So that's high strangeness. Clearly what was happening is bigger than just this weird person. Like, if you couldn't get through, it's weirdly, like, there's something going on. So she locks herself in her room and is yelling, "Get out, get out, get out." And then there's nothing, silence. 5 minutes go by, and she hears the same gentle knocking, repetitive knocking on her door. And she's like, what the hell?
That's another thing too, Josh, is that repetitive knocking. It's not like just knock, knock, knock. It's like knock, 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 knock,
Yeah.
knock. Oh
my
it just
God.
happens over and over.
Wait,
even
so
if you have a doorbell.
How did she get rid of her?
She didn't. She just waited 5 minutes, and suddenly she opens her bedroom door. She goes out to the living room. The bathroom's the same. The door inside her apartment is locked again. So it was open 5 minutes ago, and it's now locked, and she hears the knocking. She looks out the window. The woman's out there, just knocking. Let me in. Let me in. So
Crazy.
Hillary freaks out. Hillary Swank freaks out. Great acting performance. And throws out a sweatshirt and a $20 bill outside and just goes, leave me alone, leave me alone. She calls
Fuck
911.
off. Yeah.
Just get the fuck out of here. She calls 911, finally gets through, hasn't come out. The woman's gone. The sweatshirt's gone, and the money was gone. But then the next day, the $20 bill was there on the bottom, and she didn't know what to make of it. So that's the story I could find that was the most interesting, besides a car story where the kid got in. But I just thought that was compelling because it just showed a little high strangeness, which is going to tee up my next story, my next theory, that it's never as simple as like just a ghost. It's like weird. Like, how did she get in and out of the house? She messing with him. There's a trickster element to it. Like, there's more to it. It's not as simple as like what the fuck would do that? Like this weird ass thing coming to your door, knocking and fucking with you like that. I mean, it's a trickster spirit.
For sure.
So now that was the first question. What happens when they let him in? Apparently not that bad. They just kind of fuck with you and leave. I mean, like let's not be that scared of the interdimensional baddies, Okay, so that's one story of what happens when you let them in. Apparently, not that bad. Now, before I want to get into what
Freaky,
they are,
but okay.
Yeah, but you'll get through it. It's going to be okay. Before I get into like what they are and what I think they are, and a little bit of research, I know Matt, you have another story you want to share that adds more context to this whole phenomenon.
Right, yeah. So along with the old Bethel story that dates back, there's also another story that kind of illustrates again what happens when you let these kids in. And I'll just go through it real quick. Again, it's like it goes back a long way, and if you read any information into Black Eyed Kids at all, you will probably have read this story before, so I'll just like race through it real quick. But it's a lady, again, who and ladies, come on, this is 2 for 1 now. Stop letting these kids in. Anyway, I'm sorry. So anyway,
just check their pupils. That's all we ask. Yeah. That's all we ask.
Yeah. Ask them to look at you. So anyway, she's from Vermont, the really small town of Vermont, and it's a really tight-knit community. She knows everyone in town. She lives with her husband, and she is in bed, and it's around 2 or 3 a.m., and this knocking starts at the door. And again, it's this like continuous like knock. Like it's not like a knock, knock, knock. And apparently they have a doorbell too, but there's just this continual knocking. Anyway, they get up and go and answer the door, both the husband and the wife. And it's like there's a snowstorm outside. Like it's like a fucking blizzard going on right now. And there's these 2 kids, and they said they're a girl and a boy, they couldn't have been more than 8 years old. They're dressed kind of strangely, had odd sort of haircuts, like a bowl cut, like old sort of, old-timey kind of look. And they said they weren't dressed for winter, so these 2, the man and the lady, thought maybe they were Mennonite children, but there wasn't really Mennonites around the area at all, so they're kind of like, what the fuck's happening?
Right.
Anyway, so they look out the window, they see these 2 kids, and then these 2, man and wife, look at each other and they both have this odd feeling, like, what has happened? Obviously, it's an odd situation, but there's something
So they let
heightened.
them in. They let them in to their place?
So they do, yeah. So she said as much as her instincts told her not to bring them inside, she still was like, these poor kids, let's bring them in, give them some hot cocoa and sit them down with a blanket kind of thing. So she invites them inside, these 2 kids, and they kind of speak, apparently, these kids in like a sing-songy voice. And they
never trust those kids. Jesus.
You're right, yeah. So she goes into the kitchen and starts making them some hot cocoa. The kids keep repeating this line, our parents will be here soon. They keep saying this line over and over again to them. That was my sing-songy voice. So this couple...
parents will be here soon.
Yeah, there you go.
There you
Perfect.
Wow.
So this couple apparently has no kids, but they have like a handful of cats. And they said when these kids came in the house, the cats fucking scattered and just hid all throughout the house. And they said one of their cats... And she said, these cats are super friendly. They'll go like to even strangers and visitors. They'll go up to them like, meow, pat me. They won't talk. Anyway, so the cats like all act freaked out and stuff, and actually one of the cats actually tries to scratch it when she picks it up, like the lady who let him in. She's like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh no.
Pussy Patrol.
I think that's different, Melissa. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't really know what this song meant. Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, she brings the kids these mugs of coffee. coffee, chocolate, hot chocolate, and the kids look up at her, and she notices these black pupils, and then she said she does everything she can not to just drop these mugs immediately, which again pops up like for whatever reason.